Hi, so I'm going to talk about record sources in this particular video. And what I'm going to talk about are 4 different kinds of record sources that you can have in forms and reports. I'm going to use examples of record sources in forms, but everything that I'm talking about applies exactly the same in reports. So there are 4 different kinds of record sources for forms and reports that you can have. One is you can have no record source at all. You can have a record source that's just simply the name of a table. You can have a record source that is a name of a query that is listed in the navigation pane. That's also known as a named query. You could also have a SQL statement. And so I have these 4 forms here, and each one of them has a different record source, and I'm going to show you that now. So this example here of a form has no record source at all. And you can see that you've got a bunch of fields here that have no data in them. And they've also got this right here. So what is happening is that there are these fields here that are trying to pull from the record source, but those fields aren't in existence in the record source, and so it's confused. Now, the thing that I want to tell you is that you can have a form that does not need to pull anything from a table at all. For example, if you create a navigation form, the record source for that it can be blank. If you have a main menu, the record source for that main menu, you don't have to have anything for it as long as you're not pulling, you don't have any fields on that form. So let me show you what this looks like. Okay, so if I come over here to record source, there's nothing there. And so again, because those fields with the name, #name, question mark, are not in the record source, and there is no record source, so there is nothing to pull or to map to in a table, it's going to give you that #name, question mark, error. Okay, so you can fix that. You can insert a record source, but before I do that, I want to show you the other examples. So here is a form again, and this time you can see that there's data in all of the in the fields, and you don't see that #name question mark error anywhere. And you come along and you can see that it's all here. Okay, so if I come here and I go into design view and I click this little box up here so I can see the form properties, and I come here to record source, it says a name of a table. And I will show you that this is a name of a table. Here are all my tables, and if I come here down, let's see, I gotta find it. It's right there. This is the name of the table. So that's another way to have a record source. Okay. So then another way to have a record source is to have a query. All right, so here we have a form, and if I come here and I look, this is the name of a query. I can come over here and a query that's saved and shows up in the navigation pane. So if I come down here, here it is right here. Here's the name of that query. Oh, no, wait, is it? No, that's not the one. Shoot. Is it that one? Yeah, it's this one. It's this one right here. Sorry. Anyway, so that's the name of a query. But one thing that I want to show you about this form is that when I come here and I go view, I have that #name ? Error. I don't have it for all the other fields, but I have it for this one. What that means is this field right here is looking for it and can't find it. So if I go back to the design view, and I can also see, because it's got a little green mark here indicating something's wrong. But if I click here on this field and I come here to the control source and it says SCI class location, and then I click on the down arrow, it's not in the list. Okay, well, all right, so it's not in the list. So what do we need to do? Well, what we need to do is come over here and then press the build button for this query, and we're going to go and look for that particular field that's missing, and here it is right here. And so I'm just going to double click on it, and I'm going to bring it down into the grid here, and I'm going to save it, and I'm going to close it. And now if I right click and I say form view, it will not quickly show take that error away. Okay, so just want to point that out to you. Okay, so next I want to show you about how to build an SQL statement. So here I have a form, and if I right click and I do design view, then I can come here, and here the record source, this is actually an SQL statement. Okay, and I can click on the build button and I can see that query in graphical format, or I can come up here and see it in the SQL programming view. Okay, so I'll click on close. Now let's say that you want to build an SQL statement, okay, for this form. So I'm going to wipe this out, and I'm going to go and build a record source, an SQL statement. And so I click when I click in the record source, the build button shows up. So I'm going to click on that build button, and then I'm going to come here and I'm going to pick the table that I need, and that's tutor primary table, and I'm going to say add, and I'm going to say close. And I'm going to bring down all my fields. I can double click here to bring down all my fields, and I've decided that I want to sort it by last name and then first name. So I'll turn off the show buttons because it's already here, included in here, but I just want to say that I want to sort those. So these show buttons are turned off. That means they won't show up in the record, or in the record sort, or in the SQL statement. Okay, so here, if I come here, and there I am. I've got an SQL statement. And I can click on Save, and I can click on Close. And if I come back here and I look at the record source, I have a record source for that. Okay? And so one last thing, I'm going to show you again how to build a record source for this particular form so that we get rid of those errors. And so I've got to find the table for that. And so here it is. So when I come over here to the record source, I'm going to build a record source. Again, I click in the box for the record source. I click the build button. I'm going to say that I want this particular table, and I can say close, and I'm just going to build my query like I always would. And so for me, I like to bring down all of my fields, and then what I like to do is I like to sometimes sort by certain things, and in this case I sort by class, semester, class, and then section type. And so I'll set those to sort. And I'm going to turn the show buttons off because remember these fields are already included in that because this star says all fields. So I've got my my query built, and you can go and see the SQL statement by just switching to SQL. Okay, either way is fine. I save it, I close it, and now the SQL statement is there. You are required to have SQL statements for all your forms and all your reports. And so now you know how to do it. Thanks.